Imagine a world where one decision, one hesitation, changes everything. Picture the moment in 1933 when Albert Einstein, already one of the most brilliant minds alive, stood on the edge of leaving Germany forever. In our timeline, he walks away. He escapes rising danger, moves to America, and reshapes the future of science from Princeton. But imagine something different. Imagine he hesitates. Imagine he stays. What kind of world would we be living in today if Albert Einstein never left Germany? Einstein is 54. His hair is wilder than ever, his mind sharper than any scientist of his generation. But Germany is no longer the country he once knew. The atmosphere has shifted. The political climate is darkening. Friends warn him to leave. Colleagues whisper that staying is dangerous. But for the first time in his life, he doesn't make a quick decision. Maybe he believes the storm will pass. Maybe he feels loyalty to the land where he built his discoveries. Or maybe he simply refuses to imagine that his world could collapse so quickly. And in this alternate timeline, he chooses the unthinkable. He decides to stay. The moment he stays, the future begins to twist. Einstein keeps teaching, keeps writing, keeps thinking. His papers still circulate worldwide, but something feels different. Outside his classroom windows, German society hardens. His fame protects him for a while, but fame is never a shield forever. As tensions rise, his work becomes a silent battleground. And the world outside Germany watches nervously. American scientists read his papers from across the ocean, wondering why he didn't come. Government officials in Washington, who once hoped to welcome him, now whisper about what this decision could mean for global power. Back in Germany, Einstein tries to continue his work on unified field theory. He tries to escape into the world of equations, where numbers are honest and the universe makes sense. But the political world refuses to leave him alone. He is pressured to stop speaking publicly. His lectures shrink. His colleagues begin disappearing from universities. And slowly, the man who once stood as a symbol of scientific freedom realizes that he is becoming a symbol of something much darker. Meanwhile, across the Atlantic, the United States feels his absence more than anyone expected. Without Einstein's voice, the scientific community in America grows restless. Young physicists who once dreamed of studying under him now scatter to different universities. The spark he brought to American science never ignites. The conversations that shaped early nuclear research never happen. There is no Einstein walking into Princeton, no late-night discussions that push American physics toward its golden age. A quiet gap opens in U.S. innovation, a gap no one knows how to fill. The world moves forward, but not in the same direction. As Germany tightens its grip, scientists who once relied on Einstein for guidance find themselves isolated. Some flee, others stay silent. Einstein, trapped between loyalty and fear, becomes a shadow of the global figure he was meant to be. His letters to friends grow shorter, his math grows darker, and deep inside him, he knows the world is drifting toward a turning point. Across the ocean, American leaders face a terrifying thought: without Einstein's early warnings, without his push for rapid scientific development, the race for atomic research begins later, slower, and with far less urgency. The people who might have been inspired by him never cross paths with him. The chain reaction of talent that once flourished under his influence never starts. A silent question hangs over Washington, one no one wants to say out loud. If Einstein isn't here, who will guide us when the world changes? And the world does change. Every month, every year, that Einstein remains in Germany, the distance between America's scientific progress and Europe's political aggression grows sharper. The future becomes more unpredictable. And in this alternate universe, the thing no one imagined becomes possible. Germany holds one of the most brilliant minds in human history inside its borders, whether he likes it or not. Before we continue into how this decision reshapes World War II, the nuclear race, and the entire balance of global power, I want to remind you that stories like this are just the beginning. If you want more alternate history explorations and deep dives into the inventors who changed our world, make sure you subscribe. Your support helps bring these thought experiment timelines to life, and you won't want to miss where this one goes next. Einstein's decision to remain in Germany echoes across the world like a warning no one wants to face. As the political climate intensifies, he becomes a silent prisoner of circumstance. The government does not imprison him physically. They don't need to. His brilliance is already contained. His every lecture is monitored. His mail is screened. His freedom to travel shrinks year by year, and the world begins to realize something deeply unsettling. Genius can be controlled. Innovation can be captured, and history can be rewritten without firing a single shot. As the late 1930s approach, German officials begin to understand what they have. Einstein is not simply a scientist. He is a symbol, a global mind whose reputation can be used for leverage. Their strategy is subtle. They do not force him to work for them, at least not openly. They simply give him no other choice. His access to laboratories is restricted unless he cooperates. His colleagues are threatened unless he publishes research under approved conditions. Slowly, Einstein finds himself entangled in a machine he despises. Across the ocean, the United States watches the situation with rising fear. Intelligence reports circle quietly through Washington, claiming that Germany may be using Einstein's presence as intellectual capital. Even if he is not collaborating willingly, the possibility alone is enough to panic American physicists. A question begins circulating in private meetings. If the greatest theoretical mind of the century is trapped in Germany, what does that mean for the future of global science? In our timeline, Einstein's letter to President Roosevelt helped spark the Manhattan Project. It wasn't his equations that built the atomic bomb, but his warning that made America take the threat seriously. In this alternate timeline, that warning never comes. Roosevelt never receives a letter with Einstein's signature urging rapid research. Instead, he receives silence. And that silence becomes dangerous. While American nuclear research crawls forward at a cautious, bureaucratic pace, Germany begins exploring theoretical possibilities with a sense of urgency fueled by fear of the outside world. They do not immediately gain the advantage that history often imagines, but the absence of Einstein in the United States creates a psychological shift. American scientists feel a step behind. American leaders feel unprepared. And by the time war erupts in Europe, the balance of scientific confidence tilts sharply toward Germany. Einstein, forced into silence, grows increasingly desperate. He knows the implications of his captivity. He understands the power of fear in shaping scientific priorities. He sees the political leaders around him dreaming of weapons they cannot yet build. And the haunting truth settles on him. The world is sprinting toward a discovery that could destroy itself. And he has no voice left to stop it. Back in America, universities feel the absence of his influence more than anyone expected. The younger generation of physicists lacks the mentor who once challenged their beliefs and reshaped their thinking. Princeton does not become the intellectual powerhouse it was in our timeline. Entire fields of study advance more slowly. The U.S. enters the 1940s with brilliant minds, but without the unifying spark that Einstein once provided. As World War II intensifies, both sides scramble for scientific breakthroughs. Germany, despite possessing Einstein physically, cannot extract his unwilling genius. The United States, meanwhile, struggles without his early warnings. But the true shift comes not from Einstein's work, but from the psychological weight of his presence. The world believes Germany has him, and belief alone changes everything. Nations make decisions based on fear, not facts. American research eventually accelerates, but later than it should have. The bomb is delayed. The war lasts longer. The death toll climbs. And through it all, Einstein watches his worst nightmares unfold, powerless to intervene. He becomes a silent witness to a world shaped by the consequences of a single decision made years earlier, a decision he can no longer undo. When the war finally ends, the world looks different. The United States emerges strong, but not dominant. Germany falls, but not before causing a lasting scientific fracture. And Einstein, older, exhausted, and broken by years of enforced silence, becomes a symbol of brilliance, restrained. His final years are filled with regret, not discovery. He dies in the country he could never escape, carrying the weight of what might have been, and the world he leaves behind is permanently altered. American innovation recovers, but the lost decade creates a ripple that stretches far into the future. Space exploration begins later. Nuclear power develops more slowly. The scientific boom of the post-war era never reaches the heights it could have. The timeline shifts, not because of equations, but because one man's voice never reached the people who needed to hear it. If the idea of exploring alternate histories like this fascinates you, there's so much more ahead. The inventors who shaped our world made decisions that determined the future of every generation that followed. And when we ask what would happen if they made a different choice, we open the door to a universe of possibilities. If you want to keep exploring those timelines with me, make sure you subscribe and stay with this journey. More stories are coming, and each one will change the way you see the world forever.